Or
WRVO.
oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
So you actually getting paid for this?
Yeah. Hell yeah, right? So how are you feeling tonight?
I'm really proud of the people that went out there and fought for every vote. They worked so hard. I'm probably more concerned for them than me in terms of the result. And that's not only the volunteers, but people in the district. We have on the south side high unemployment and poverty, and people feel like neglected and disrespected. And on the east side, there are a lot of neighborhood issues, between homeowners and students in the business district, and then downtown, where it's hard to get into the apartments and really hear what people have to say. But there are issues down there. We got I-81 coming. There's a lot of issues, and if I win, I know I have my work cut out for me. And one thing I learned is I got to go to the meetings in the community because people really want that. In terms of policy, I think people are with me on the policies. And in terms of whether we win or lose, I think every vote for the Greens is a conscious vote. You have to go all the way down to the bottom line. The default vote in this district is Democratic because there's only 8% Republican enrollment. And you talk to those people, half of them are county workers that think it keeps their job. So it's a Democratic district. So our challenge was to get to people, talk to them, convince them to come down. And for some, they don't think if you're enrolled as a Democrat, you can vote for a Green. I mean, there's that basic level of voter education we have to work on. So, all that comes together. But in terms of your first question, how do I feel? I feel satisfied that we left it all out there on the street.
Nice. Well, it was so surprising as how close you came in your last election to actually winning.
Right.
In such a predominantly Democrat district with almost very little Green representation. I mean, it was really close. So how is the reception you're gauging this time around as compared to last time?
Well, I think most of those people enrolled in the Democratic Party actually agree more with the Green platform than the usual policies of the Democratic Party. They are basically progressive voters, working class on the south side, middle class on the east side generally. And they generally vote Democratic because in national and state elections, the Republicans are still an option. Locally, they're not. That's why the Green voters come up. And, sometimes the newspaper says, oh, we got such an uphill battle because so few are enrolled in the Green Party. But you look at the votes we get, our vote way outperforms the number of people we have enrolled, whereas both major parties get far fewer votes than they have enrolled members. So people are voting for our policies, and even if they stay enrolled in the Democratic Party, for example, to vote in primaries, I think a lot of them are rooting for the Greens to get some offices because they agree with us on the policies.
Do you see the Green Party growing, gaining more momentum, or is it losing momentum?
I think we're gaining momentum. I think the national picture is the Republican Party has become basically the old Dixiecrats in the Democratic Party. And I've heard Republicans who were more from the George Bush, Ronald Reagan era, where there were still moderates and even liberals, say that the South took over the Republican Party. The Republican Party didn't take over the South. So that doesn't play anywhere else in the country. The Democratic Party has become the establishment party. Lots of Wall Street and big business, even the oil companies are now coming to the Democratic Party. So they're the establishment. So the working people, progressive-minded people, are beginning to ask themselves what John Lewis asked in 1963 at the March on Washington, where's my party? Because at that time, the Dixiecrats were holding up the Democrats on civil rights, and the right wing of the Republicans were holding up the Republicans on civil rights. And I think a lot of people are asking that today. In fact, we've seen polls recently. I've been running this local election, but I think I saw the headline that 60% of Americans want to see a third party. And if you poll them on where they stand on the issues, they are generally progressive. So I think the Greens have the potential to fill that space in the political spectrum and really grow. And if you look at history, these things happen in leaps and bounds. In other words, seem like you're beating your head against a brick wall, and then suddenly the wall will breach and everybody goes running through, like the wall, East Berlin Wall. The metaphor became real there, and people started hammering on it, and suddenly it was over. And people thought it wouldn't. I didn't think in 1989 that the East Bloc would crumble. My whole world was the Cold War, and suddenly we had to readjust. But underneath, the changes was happening, and it just didn't become manifest. But when it does, it happens suddenly. So I think, we could be on the cusp of that as the Green Party.
Do you think it's going to require people to actually switch from being registered as a Democrat to get registered as a Green Party?
I think the sequence will be the Greens will start winning elections, and then those people will switch because they'll say, well, I want to vote in Green primaries. I want to be in the Green Party and, help develop it rather than, wait for the Democrats to give them primary options. And in the meantime, they say, I can vote Green in the general, but I want to influence the Democratic Party. I think there's a lot of people like that today. So I don't think we'll get a flood of Green enrollees who change their registration to Green until we start winning elections. And then people will say, well, this is a viable option. Let's go with it.
Anything else you want to say?
Not yet. I'm waiting for the election results.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
So if you lose the election, would you run for a third try?
You mean 2 years from now? Mm-hmm. Well, it's real early to even think about that. About 10 days after the election, we'll have an evaluation, figure out what happened, what we did right, what we did wrong. And then we'll be looking at the next weeks and months and the next year. What are we going to do? There'll be state and federal elections next year. The city issues will remain. And, we have a lot of people that, have thoughts about that. So everybody's got to talk and think, and, we'll come to that decision together down the road.